Hey guys, welcome to Surf and Show. I'm Noel Salas, and today's surf tip is on proper back foot traction placement. This is going to be fun. Sit back, get your favorite drink, enjoy the show. Now this is the Dominator 2 by Firewire. It's a Dan design, and when I got this board, I treated it just like I treat every board that comes through for review. What I do is I take the traction pad of my choice. This is a wider tail board. And my favorite wide tail traction pad is the Jack Freestone by Creatures. And what I like about it is I like the width and the kick. So I always want to line this traction up all the way back on the leash plug. And I want to show you what that looks like. I can't go back any further than this, right? Here's my leash string. And one of the things I noticed is when I was putting the leash string on, I noticed that the leash plug was pretty far forward from the tail block compared to most other boards that I ride. So one of the things that stood out to me is that when I put the leash string in, I never want my leash string to hang past the tail block. So I always keep it as short as possible. And I noticed that I didn't have to really focus on that when I put the string in. And I always put the string in before I put the pad so I can get the pad all the way up on the leash plug. Now this is the Driver 2.0, it's brand new, so there's no traction on it. This is how the board comes to me, right? I want you to see this leash plug is back a ½ inch further than the Dominator 2. Here's my leash string. So I put my leash string on. Do you see how it hangs past the tail block here? What happens when you put your leash string in, it goes past the tail block? The wave, when the leash pulls on you, I don't care if you have a rail saver on your leash, it will rip the rope through the end of the tail block. And then you'll have to get it fixed. So you always want your leash string to fall short and never hang off the end of the tail block. Now that we've talked about the length of the leash string and this particular leash plug being up a ½ inch further than most other boards, I'm running into problems. And I'll show you why. This particular pad has a pretty high tail kick. So this is going up pretty high, right? So I lock my foot in there and then I start doing precise turns. Well, the other thing about this traction pad that is somewhat unusual is that the length on how far the kick goes from here back is roughly 2 inches. Most other traction pads from here back is 1.5 inches. So now we need to do some calculating. If this is a ½ inch longer than other tail kicks and this leash plug is up a ½ inch, that's 1 whole inch that I'm missing on getting my back foot all the way back to do nice precise turns. Now when I started the review on the Dominator 2, I was riding it as a quad. I want to show you how I figured out what my problems were. So if you look at it right here, this is the quad setup I ran. And as a quad, the board's fast, it's silky smooth, it's got excellent flow, and I had a blast on it. And when it was time to take out the quad rears and put in the thruster, that's when I couldn't get a precise turn. Now what Aaron and I did is we drew a little line. Let me show you this little line right here. Can you see this little line right here? It goes all the way across. This line was drawn on the back of the board to find out where my foot's sitting on the deck of the traction pad. It's sitting right up over the quad rears. That's why I'm getting nice, precise turns. But when you look at this line right here, and I put it as a thruster, my back foot isn't going over the thruster fin. I'm missing it by about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to turn the board here. If my foot is right here to do a precise turn, if you look at it this way, if my foot's right here, where's that put me? Right over the quad rears. But I can't get it back another inch to get nice precise turns as a thruster. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So if I pull out these quad rears and we put in the thruster fin, now I want to show you this. Look at the line now. Do you see the line? It's like about right here. And I believe we need to be maybe about right here. So I want my foot to be a little bit back, right in here. So what do we have to do? Well, unfortunately, we're gonna have to rip this pad off. If I rip this pad off, I'm gonna have to move this back at least 1 inch to 1.5 inches so I can surf this board as a thruster and get nice, precise turns. Now, when I start taking up this traction, that came off really nice. Now that I've got the traction pad off, there's still some sticky residue that we've got to get off. I like this Goo Gone. This is Pro Power. You just spray it on and let it sit. After it sits for a bit, then we take a wax comb and we scrape it off. Now that I've got all the goo off, I want to take a little bit of paint thinner and get any and all residue off the board. I like to pour it on the rag and then just wipe the board off. Make sure it's completely clean surface. This stuff dries fast. Now the last thing I'll do before I put a new traction pad down, just to be sure, is take about 150 grit sandpaper and just lightly touch it up. Take a dry paper towel and wipe off any dust or debris from sanding it. Now I'm gonna take a new traction pad. I'm gonna cut out a little bit of the tail here so I can move it back roughly 1.5 inches. All right guys, so the new pad is customized. I use a single edge razor blade. We cut off 1.5 inches and we slid the pad back 1.25 inches. Let me show you what that looks like when I put the board this way. And now you see right here, my foot's all the way back over that third fin, so I'm gonna get nice, precise turns. Now you guys have asked me, can we ever put a traction pad too far back? I believe we can. Now what happens when it's too far back? Sometimes I feel like I need to scoot it forward to get a little bit more squirt and drive through my bottom turns. But when it's too far forward, I didn't get one precise turn on this board as a thruster. Every turn that I put the board on rail, it would bog. So I'll get used to it, moving it back, and then I'll have the freedom to move it around a bit and get exactly what I want out of this board. Well guys, we hope you enjoyed today's surf tip on proper back foot traction placement. Now if you like the show, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and if you like our content, give us a thumbs up. Well, that's it for today. Until next time, we'll see you in the water. Bye-bye.